Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Loads of roster updates coming out last night. The Las Vegas Legion, their new roster has been confirmed, surprising to many, but only a one-man change they have made in the end. Florida Mutineers also leaking their entire team, and a big update on the OpTic Texas side, how they have been faring so far with Ghosty in the lineup. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to discuss. First, big update here from the Boston Breach. Anthony Method Zinni officially no longer in their organization, as they say here. Thank you, Zinni, for the trust, all this type of stuff. So, yeah, honestly, it's kind of expected, right? We saw on stage when he retired at the major, very, I think, surprising to many at the time, and he obviously said the future is green, all this stuff. Question was, would he stay with Boston, kind of a green organization, for some time, and then join OpTic, or would he join OpTic immediately? Seems like the latter is going to be true, and, you know, he kind of says goodbye to everyone on good terms yesterday, which I thought was kind of nice to see. So, we believe, probably, we're still staying on Twitch for now for the upcoming stage, and we don't know what's going to happen after that, but if we are, then I would not be surprised at all if we see maybe Zinni on Scump's watch party this weekend. Stay tuned for that one, but it might, well, you know, the timing works out quite well here for potentially the hand of the king to join the king just a couple of weeks after in the content game, potentially on the same organization as well. So cool stuff, and obviously wishing the best for Methods going forwards. Beans, of course, is taking over the role that Zinni inhabited on that Boston Breach team. We'll see how well it works out. We talked about this yesterday and said that maybe it's kind of like an all-gunny, no-brain team, but maybe it works out in their favor, because the slaying here is certainly very impressive now with this new lineup. Now, let's speak about Florida Mutineers. This, to me, out of all the changes that are being made, so OpTic have made a change, of course. Florida making a change. Hasn't been fully confirmed, but most of it's been confirmed now, and the entire thing has been leaked. We'll see in a second. Vegas, of course, we know they're changing, and same with Boston. Of all those changes, I would say Florida have made the best progress in the right direction here. They've finally gone away from this, let's sign 4 ARs, okay, they've never done that, but you know what I mean, type conversation, and now actually having a team with some pace on it, with some good leadership, some degree of winning experience as well in fellow, so I like it. Now, this is pretty funny last night. So Mina Mendez, well, I'm not exactly sure why she was at the Misfits HQ or whatever, but she was there in Miami, I guess, and she just tweeted this out of a picture of her with Willett, who's the coach of the team, Havoc, of course, Brack, and Fellow. So it's very clear quite quickly that Fellow was indeed here in this roster, despite the fact that it hadn't actually been confirmed yet by the organization itself. And then Havoc actually went on stream, and people noticed in the background that Capstone had just walked into the HQ behind them. So Cap hasn't been confirmed, and I guess they're kind of preparing some sort of announcement video for Capstone. But yeah, that's the team. Havoc, of course, Brack is coming back. Capstone is joining Havoc on the SMGs. I think it makes sense. Like, look, I think Vickle is a serviceable player that can do a job, but I don't think he's kind of like, at this level, you need, you know, if you actually want to really achieve anything, an SMG player that has some takeover potential. And Havoc can do it in search and destroy. Never really been that guy in the respawns. And Vickle is kind of going to be a gap filler SMG, right? He's not going to be dropping 30, 40 bombs every single series if you need him to. So that's where, like, a player like Capstone, who might be more up and down, but Capstone's got more upside, right? This guy's an explosive player. He will have those crazy takeover maps that will win you crucial maps and potentially series as well. Yes, he might, you know, have other elements of his gameplay that the team is going to have to adjust to, but bringing a guy like Cap in for Vickle is probably a sensible move in terms of, well, upping the ceiling on your team. Maybe it doesn't change the floor, but in terms of the ceiling, I think the team does get stronger now, especially with now the addition of Fellow coming into the team. I think it's really cool to see. Brack is, of course, back, which is a no-brainer. I don't know why they dropped him in the first place, to be perfectly honest. And then, of course, Fellow is now there. Legendary Call of Duty player. Some of you guys might even remember the old school Black Ops 3 days, and he was on, I think it was Elevate at the time, had that crazy, like, 15 or 16 streak on evac hardpoint against the OpTic Dynasty. Like, it's pretty legendary. But Fellow's now in the roster officially, and as he says, join the Mutineers, surrounded by a great group of people. Thank you guys for believing in me. So cool stuff of Fellow, because I thought this guy was on the verge in the past off-season from retiring. I believe he said he was going to give it one more go in challenges, and if it didn't work out, that was going to be it, and I guess he'd try to move into coaching or something, because I'm sure he'd be great in the coaching role as well, but wanted to keep playing, and has got a chance on the Mutineers. It's really cool stuff. Great to see as well that, well, it's kind of not great to see for iLLeY, who was the 4th player on that Boston, or the team that won the Boston Open, right, recently in challenges, because everybody else has been signed but iLLeY, and we'll see in a second what that means for the Vegas Legion, because speaking of Vegas, this is their situation, as Product confirms last night, unrestricted free agents for the rest of the 2023 season. Tricky situation with Prolete, right, because individually he obviously wasn't playing so well, but I mean, look, it was kind of inevitable to me that this Vegas team was going to have to blow up their SMG duo at some point or another. Prolute arguably is maybe better suited to the flex role anyway. Having him run a full-time sub, I don't know if that was going to be a long-term solution. I think he was actually okay and probably not as bad as people are suggesting, but he's just one of those players that's on the cusp of being Pro League caliber, and maybe he's going to be there, maybe he's not. But the issue is that he might have gone through the Legion saga, right, where, okay, he was on OpTic last year briefly in place of iLLeY, but whenever you take the Vegas offer or the Legion offer, then, you know, in very rare circumstances, your career survives afterwards. And I wonder if that'll be the same case here for 2Real. We'll see in a second, who is going to be Prolute's replacement in a real surprise turn of events, in my opinion. So, confirmation last night from the Las Vegas Legion, 2Real is back in the league. Firstly, this is, I think, really cool for the challenger side in general, because many players, the likes of, let's just say, a Fire40, for example, who was briefly on Paris Legion back in the Cold War days, he, well, obviously has a stint in the Pro League, gets fried, goes back down to challengers, and even if he does quite well, getting signed again is so difficult, it seems. A lot of the time, you'll see players, they get their chance for a couple of months, they either squander it, or they're part of like just a terrible team environment where they're never going to play well and being left out to dry, especially if you're an SMG coming into a Pro League team which isn't so well coordinated. You're probably going to get fried no matter what. Then you go back to down to challengers, and regardless of how well you do, you can be winning stuff. The pro teams would rather take a chance on another player that hasn't yet had their chance, just to see if that player will fry, whereas the other player won't. Now, I think that's a pretty difficult way of doing it, because some players will get their chance in the Pro League, might not do so well, but still have the talent and the ability to make it work again. It was just their first chance, wasn't really the best environment, potentially. So I think it's cool in general that 2Real, having gone through that situation last year on the Florida Mutineers, or got roasted hard for his performance, is now getting another chance here on Vegas to show it again, because he went back down to challenges and did very well. So, you know, and was absolutely fine and winning stuff and on a high level, right? So this is the thing. I think it's pretty cool to see that 2Real is going to get another chance. Now, he's going to replace Prolute, of course, but we know that TJ is now staying on the team. Of course, this is the pillow guy, right? So he sits there with the pillow on his lap, which is legendary stuff. Hopefully it works out for him. Of course, this is when he was on that Mutineers stint last season. But even as Temp says, hashtag level up. Now, this is the thing, right? Is this really a level up? At the end of the day, they're dropping Prolute for 2Real. Like, this seems like, and most, this almost seems like a lateral move, right? Like, I can't see this move really moving this team too much in the right direction, right? I mean, okay, maybe the chemistry's a bit better, maybe the pacing's a bit better. I think Prolute, as I say, might be better suited to a flex anyway than being on the SMG. I'm quite happy that TJ has retained his spot, just because I do think that he was better than he was given credit for and was important to their search and destroy. But I do think there's also an argument to say that possibly bringing 2Real and iLLeY in as well, or like making both SMG changes, might have been beneficial, just because, like, at the end of the day, is a one-man move for Prolute really going to make that much difference? Like, okay, TJ I thought was okay, but, you know, maybe just taking another chance there on a different SMG and just see what happens, right? Maybe has higher upside in terms of a change. As 2Real says, this time's going to be different to what happened last year when he was brought in, and, you know, Prolute was actually given some good credit here to 2Real. I thought was quite nice to see as well. Hopefully, you know, he will land on his feet somewhere else in challenges. I believe he's going to be on a team with iLLeY, actually, who was the only remaining player of the team that won the Boston Challengers Open. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation, because they were meant to get Kremp from the Boston side. That either never happened, well, it clearly never happened, right? Now, whether that was because of buyout or whatever, there was also rumors they trialed iLLeY in the team, but that didn't work out. Chemistry wasn't really there, or whatever the case was. So they've gone for 2Real instead. This is, you know, it's an interesting change, right? I mean, thankfully they've made a change. It's not really surprising that they're dropping one of their SMGs and bringing in a Challengers SMG that they can sign with no buyouts. But unless 2Real is going to come diffy this year and is going to be the truth, like, I don't really see how this is going to take them in a significantly positive direction. TJ, as I say, has been pretty solid. His search and destroy has been good, but it's a similar example to me with what we have seen with Capsule, right? Where you need an SMG on this team that's going to have that takeover potential. Is 2Real that guy? Certainly wasn't that guy last year. In challenges, sometimes he is that guy. So, I mean, that's the thing. If you could have dropped Prolute for Capsule, I'd have done it in a heartbeat. Making this change, it's like, you know, I don't really see necessarily that it's going to work out for these guys, and some pros seem to agree with that assessment, because Scrappy says in the replies to this tweet before deleting it, Scrappy, you know, drops the double like a, well, head in the hands type thing, as in, what are you guys doing? Now, Scrappy's good friends with a lot of these guys that are on these teams that have been in challenges before coming in. I think he's good friends with Prolute as well, so I imagine he's kind of defending Prolute in this way. But yeah, nonetheless, Scrappy is not convinced this is a good decision, and very much intrigued to your thoughts on it in the comments below. Just to mention Clay's perspective, though, my boy Brendan. So that's the thing. This is good, I think, in a way, that Clay has teamed with 2Real before, briefly in challenges last year in Vanguard, knows what he's about, got the chemistry, got some experience with him. So I can understand why they wanted to make a change like this, and as he says, needed to retool and regroup. So hopefully it works out for these guys, but, you know, I'm expecting another change to be made at some point, right? Maybe after stage 3. We'll see how it goes. And I thought it was pretty difficult for iLLeY, right? The fact that they won at challenges 9 days ago. Ghosty's now on OpTic, 2Reals on Legion, Fellows joined the Mutineers, and also Nagafen, that was the one thing I didn't mention. So Nagafen is now joining this team from being the coach of this roster to apparently also joining the Legion as a coach. Not sure what that means for their current head coach, Dylan Theory McGee, whether he's like going to be a GM or whether they just say, you know what, we don't have enough money for this, we're just going to have one head coach in Nagafen or whatever. But yeah, so, well, now iLLeY's team with Prolutes, Dave, Paddy and Johnny, but his entire team has been ripped away from him over the past couple of days. Now, I wanted to close out here with a quick discussion around OpTic, just because we haven't really seen much at all from iLLeY over the last few days. Of course, the guy doesn't tend to stream so much, doesn't tend to play 8 so much anymore, so we never really know what's going on with iLLeY. I'm guessing he's gone back home to kind of consider his options here, but of course he said the other day he's not joining Vegas. Where's he going next, though, is very much unclear at the moment. Now, I did want to say this quickly from the scrim sets that OpTic plays. Somehow I missed this at the start of the Flank episode yesterday, where Ghosty was discussing who they played in scrims, and apparently they played London and Florida, and didn't lose a hard point between those two series, which isn't maybe massively surprising given it's London and Florida, but still, if they were able to go like 10-0 in hard points against those two teams, like that is a rather good start for this new OpTic Texas camp.
You're to heaven, bro. I mean, it must be a surreal feeling. Did you guys scrim today?
Yeah, we did scrim today. Scrims went well. We did not lose a hard point.
You didn't lose a hard point. That's good to hear. That's always good to hear if you didn't lose a hard point.
Yeah, it's always a good day, you know. It's always a good day.
Yeah,
we were having CDL account issues, you know, for our 2 p.m., but it's all good. You know, we got it handled.
So Ghosty's already living the dream, obviously, in this OpTic team. It's pretty cool to witness. So yeah, hopefully it worked out for those guys, and we'll see if the slaying numbers will translate, because OpTic are going to be one of those teams with their current roster where they're probably going to be unstoppable in scrims by most of the teams. Whether they can translate that to real matches, that's the big question. We'll discuss later in the day as well how their search and destroy might be affected by this Ghosty move. But yeah, according to the early indications, they're doing it rather well in their practices, and yes, they might not have played the top team so far, but already the extra slaying that Ghosty's bringing in, and the fact that Huke is now on presumably the correct aim assist settings, is, well, more than likely helping them rather a fair little bit. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.